Comics.fm back again. What do we do on this show? Well, we talk about comics, but not with anybody, with what I call, quote, radio people. Radio people are weird. They are a different breed. So you put a microphone in front of them and you let them talk. And in this case, Danger Boy is with me, and I've given him a comic, which we will talk about. But Danger, let me first ask, Danger Boy, you are now in your 40s,
Yes.
later 40s, I believe.
I'd still say mid. I'll be 47, or I just turned 47 this month. So.
Okay, well, I'm no mathlete, but 47's closer to 45 than 50.
I was going to say, yeah, so I'm still going with mid for now.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Enjoy that while it lasts. So you are on Nash FM 97.3 in Des Moines.
Yes.
You are the longest running morning show that I'm aware of, at least as far as the one that anyone listens to.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, I would think between Lindsay and I, different because of different versions and things. I think you're right at this. Yeah. You know what the funny thing is? I didn't even think about that until you just said it.
Well, you know what? Your award is in the mail.
Thank
I got
you.
A nice plaque with your name on it. It's pretty cool, though. I mean, we've talked to a lot of radio people. That's what the show is, but we know how the industry goes. We know people are sometimes moving around. Things don't always pan out. Surprises happen any day. The longevity you've had in the industry and in one location and one station, really, I mean, that's almost unheard of.
Yeah, I mean, it's been with the same, I would say same ownership group. That's not completely correct because we've gone through different sales and everything. But I started with the same stations that I am still a part of.
That's crazy.
It is wild, and even going back to the name Danger Boy, I mean that goes back to when I was a lot younger in this business, and I was going and doing some of the stunts and sidekick things with a different morning show, and then, as a matter of fact, when I moved over to the state to 97.3 Nash FM. I said at that time, I was like, do we keep going with Danger Boy? And at this point, I was like, I'm in my 30s. I was like, my hair's going gray. My hair's thinning.
I'm a man.
I was like, I don't know how much longer boy in the name is going to work. And so I made the suggestion. I was like, what if we went to my name or a version of my name or whatever we want to do? And the thought process was, well, we feel like too many people in the market are aware of who you are. Yeah. We like Danger. They said, so we'll just take Boy off of the name. So now it's just Danger and Lindsay. And I was like, all right, I don't know if this is going to work, but it's
Danger's work. That's what you're known as. People recognize your face. They recognize your voice. They know you in the area. We joked the other day, it was Daniel Gurr would be a formal name. Dan Gurr.
Dan Gurr. Yes. Yes.
You know, what's really crazy is, so you are the first Danger on my show, but I'm literally talking to another Danger in a different market. He's in Denver, I believe.
Nice.
He goes by Danger Dean. And who's also a pro wrestler who we have tie-in radio and wrestling. There's so many things.
You can't beat that. You put those two things together and you got an interesting dude. I love it.
When I talked to my buddy Nate a couple episodes ago, I said, have you ever thought about why radio and wrestling go together? Is that because everything's a work? Everything's theater of the mind. Everything's a work at all times. Is that why they go together?
And you even think about it. It's like you go back to watching certain wrestling, where it would be like, okay, we're going to do this at the top of the hour. And then we're going to revisit what happened to Rey Mysterio Jr. Right. And then we're going to talk about, hey, here's what's coming up because we got this match at the end of the night. And then this is going to happen. You're constantly throwing back to here's what happened. You're teasing what's coming up. I mean, there's a lot that you can look at where it's like, wow, there is a lot of the same thought process and similarities to this.
Vince McMahon, the ultimate program director.
You're not kidding. You're not kidding, right? Yes.
Danger, you and I worked in the same building in Des Moines for a while, and we started talking about our love for all things G.I. Joe.
Oh,
and
yeah.
When I was new there, so I just left recently, but when I started there, it was like early 2022. You came into my office, and you're like, is that Flint up on your shelf? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm
Yes.
like, listen, if this guy knows now, if this guy said, is that a toy? I don't know what I'm dealing with there. Or if this guy said, is that a doll? I'm like, you know what? I don't need this crap. But
Right.
he said, is that Flint's? I'm like, okay, I get what I'm dealing with here.
Yes, yeah, and it is going back to GI Joe. My love for GI Joe it goes back to elementary school, and when I would run home because we would walk. Not to sound like an old man, but you would walk to and from school uphill both
Yeah.
ways, foot of snow. But we would run home from elementary school because we knew GI Joe started at 3:30 on our local
Yeah.
network. And
Yeah.
so it'd be like you had to get home in time to watch that cartoon because it was like
Yeah.
the world like surrounded.
That was it.
I was going through old pictures of Christmas and I'm reaching out. My younger brother, Mark,
Yeah.
and I'm reaching out to him. I was like, dude, I said, it is crazy. I'm going through these old pictures of us. I said, Christmas, the amount of GI Joes that we were opening, whether it's a vehicle or
Yes.
an action figure, I was like, it was amazing. And he said,
It was
should
amazing.
still be that way.
It should. Well, yeah, and it could be. The difference is instead of being $1.97 at Kmart, they're $24.99 at
Yes.
the official toy store.
It's funny
And
because we would go with my mom to Kmart, Richmond Gordman's, whatever, and it'd be like, okay, you can pick out one.
yeah,
And I think about that now. If every time I took my kids to the store, and I mean they're older, but when they were kids, if every time I took them to the store, it's like, okay, you can pick out one action figure. It'd be like, dude, I'd need 3 jobs to make that
right,
happen.
exactly. It's crazy. So back in the day, they were cheap enough, where you
Yeah.
can do that. And we're talking about GI Joe, and you and I both shared our USS Flagg stories, the aircraft carrier.
Yes.
Do you want to give like the Cliff Notes version? So again, for people watching this one, GI Joe is, I would say, for boys, it is the cartoon toy line franchise of the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest toy out there was a full size, for the scale, aircraft carrier that could fit the jets on there and everything. It was 7 foot long.
And to give you an idea, I like in my entire childhood, even going back to Nintendo and everything else, the aircraft carrier, that was the one that, like, in mine, that was the one you wanted.
Yeah.
And it is a one that got away story because we had like a cubby hole. We had a split for your house growing up in it. So we had a cubby hole and my parents would throw stuff. It was kind of the junk drawer of whatever, but our snow boots were under there. And so we get a first snow and it's before Christmas. We get in there to get our snow boots. Well, we happen to see the aircraft carrier in this cubby hole. And we were like, oh my goodness. And then we're such idiots that we tell them, like, at dinner, it's like, guess what we know? Guess what we found? And my mom says, well, it's not yours. It's for your cousins. Christmas rolls around. They don't get it. And we were like, what's the deal? You said that they were getting this aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, we took it back because you guys were snooping.
Oh my God.
And we weren't even snooping. Oh,
I can't believe it was in your house.
Yes.
And you saw it.
We had
and
it.
you ruined it. And
yeah.
At that point, did you learn to keep secrets in your life at that
keep
point?
your mouth shut. That's what.
Yeah. Shut your mouth at all.
We snitched on us.
Right.
We were like, never again.
And what did you have to gain? Like, as in say, I know something. Like
that's it. That was it.
Yeah.
The idea of I know something. Hey,
there's no positive that could have come out of speaking your mind at that moment.
Yes,
I'll share 2 quick relatable stories. One about snooping and GI Joe. I was snooping around before Christmas, and behind my dad used to work from home back in the 80s, which is kind of crazy that common now. But he had an office that we turned our garage into his office, and he had a green filing cabinet. That was always like all the secrets were in there, like important family documents and I don't know whatever grown-ups had that we don't have back in the day. Paperwork that says you have money. I don't know, whatever.
Right.
And so I was just snooping around. I saw behind the green cabinets, there about enough, I don't know, maybe 3 inches wide between the green cabinet and the wall. And I saw something. And every day I would try to look a little more, get a little flashlight in there. And I started to realize, I'm pretty sure it was the G.I. Joe train set. So it would have been not the figure scale, like small, like, HO, I guess train scale would be what that is.
Okay.
Whatever, so like, there were little guys, I'm sure, but they were like, an inch tall. But it was a G.I. Joe train set. And I'm like, oh my God, I did circle that in the Sears catalog. So like,
Which is what made it official that you wanted it.
Well, it's funny. It was only a few years separating the Sears catalog from the underwear section and the GI Joe section.
You're right.
It
Yes.
was like 4 years in between.
Exactly. And some that overlapped.
You know what? Hey, Scarlett, that's all I'm saying.
Right.
So I saw this thing and I remember telling my mom, just like you, I said, I saw a present for me. She's like, what did you see? I said, G.I. Joe train set. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. It's going to be great. She's like, I think you were dreaming that. I'm like, I was not dreaming that. She's like, yes, you were. I went back to look at it. It was gone.
Oh.
She moved it. She didn't return it, thankfully.
Oh man,
that's awful.
So
but I did.
Yeah.
I did get it. I played with it, and it was awesome because they had like little parachuters come down and they land them on the train. It was great. And then the other quick story about the actual aircraft carrier. So in my family, we had Christmas presents, but my dad had a tradition of we went to J.C. Penney the day after Christmas, and I don't know what it was. It was packed with people every year the day after Christmas, and we would get up early. Much like how Black Friday is now. For us, it was like day after, because at JCPenney, at least in Villa Park, Illinois, at North Park Mall, all toys were half price the day after Christmas.
Yeah.
And so as a kid, I don't want to say I was spoiled, but I was like spoiled with like in deals, I guess you could, in other words, they wouldn't have bought it for me normal, but at half price, which is probably $60 instead of 120 or whatever it was back then. So I got it that day, and I remember having it set up in my living room. My brother helped me set it up. It was 7 feet long. It took the whole living room. I remember using Admiral Keelhaul. He's the Admiral figure that came with it. He was like my flex. So even after I had to put it away because it was too big to have out all the time, when I would show up at my friend's house to play G.I. Joe, they're like, I've got Duke. Like, I've got Flints. I got like outranked everybody. Boom. Keelhaul. And I'd be like, Admiral. I'm like, and as kids we're trying, like, we don't know like how it all works. No, is he an E7?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. But whatever it is, there was a little flex involved. Like, hey, you can't get this guy unless you have that.
Unless you got that. So, got that. Bring it up. I love it.
Yeah, we didn't set it up all the time, but hey, you know what? As the figure, that was like proof of ownership. It's like a certificate of authenticity.
You're exactly right. Yes.
So you and I talked G.I. Joes, and then when it came time to create this show, I thought, you know what? Danger's going to go on I got my little black book here. This is my little Danger notes here. And I'm like, by the way, get this sticker at comics.fm. I thought
it's the first black book I've ever been in, I'm sure.
The only one.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to stay that way,
probably.
At this point, you're not Danger Boy,
No.
You're not. You're almost Danger Grandpa at some point.
You're not kidding. Yeah, that's where I'm trending. Yeah. I better check with my son, but
that's right. Yeah, you haven't talked to him today, but you never know. And I think that we talked G.I. Joe. We played a G.I. Joe role-playing game for a while. We were acting out characters, and I'm like, this is too perfect, because this comic, G.I. Joe Saturday Morning Adventures, it's written and drawn just like the cartoon. So in this it's a 4-issue series and combined together in a trade paperback. Basically, you see Cobra Commander finding Aladdin's genie, and he gets the lamp. And Danger, what happens when you find a lamp? You normally get wishes. And what's the usual thing that ends up happening when you get wishes?
It's going to go haywire. It's all you want it to be this way. You wish for this thing. You think it's going to go that direction, only to realize there's a reason, there's a saying, be careful what you wish for, right?
That's right. That's where it comes from. You always get screwed. The genie, we should know by now. Cobra Commander should know by now. The genie's always literal, right? If you ever said, I want to have all the money in the world, and the genie is going to basically make everybody poor, and then you're Scrooge, and it's like, that's not what I want. Well, I wanted the money, but I didn't want them to. It's always that, right?
Yes.
We should have. Brendan Fraser in Bedazzled taught us so many lessons in life. This is one of those there. So Cobra Commander finds the lamp, and he wishes for the battle android troopers, the bats, but he wants giant ones.
Yes.
Right. That was his first wish.
What I loved about the comic book right off the bat, going back to how close it is to the cartoon, is you're not wrong. Because the minute because you think about all the things that you might wish for if you were Cobra Commander that might give you the edge, and you're like, so that's what you went with, gigantic battle android troopers. Okay.
Yeah.
But it was like, this is so cartoon accurate.
Yes.
It's like, this fits totally. I also love, even right down to how he acquired the lamp, was he had Zartan and the Dreadnoks. They were able to get this terrible looking sculpture, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then the lamp was inside of that. So everybody's like, why would you have us go and get this? And
It's totally cartoon, where it's just so goofy. And, I'm not going to mention all the wishes he had, but like just the idea that, like, you always get screwed over. It was like, well, did you know a squad of bats are only 5 strong or whatever? Like, well, I thought it'd be an army of them, that kind of thing.
Yes.
And so throughout this adventure, and then there was a few moments in this where some of the Joes, I think it might have been a scene with Flint, actually, who was one of my favorites. It almost realized, like a self-actualized, are we all part of the genie's mind, right, or his own will? Mm-hmm. Because one of them was like, the Joes and Cobra have to fight forever, right?
Yes.
Until there's that kind of thing.
So you're going to fight. You wanted to, Cobra Commander. Your goal here was to fight your enemy, GI Joe, until you could get rid of them. So here you do. You two are going to fight until there's a winner. What I love is, again, like, love how Destro is like, hold on a minute, like, me as this arms dealer, this isn't going to be good for me if the fight ends here, because there you go, I'm out of options to make money. So what I loved was, with him, the idea of, okay, like, hey, Flint, this isn't going to work if we fight to the end here. So you're going to have to go and get that genie. If this is going to work.
And you're right. There's a great scene in there. I will put that up on the screen as we're talking, but there's a great scene where it's, I think they're both in jets talking to each other.
Yes.
And Destro and Flint are coming to an arrangement, a deal, in the sense to kind of how to beat the loophole that is in the wish of the genie from Cobra Commander.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool because, without giving away too much, I want everyone to check this one out because it does read very quickly. It's like a cartoon. And eventually the Joes do get the lamp, and Shipwreck ends up with it.
And Shipwreck, even the people that they featured within the comic, that I like, the characters that they featured, because it's like Shipwreck. I mean, Shipwreck always in cartoons. He always seemed to have like that. He wasn't one of the stars. Like, to me, Duke was a star.
Right.
Snake
Duke
Eyes
and Scarlet, Snake Eyes. All the big ones.
He's one of your biggest co-stars, right? Yeah. Like, that's what Shipwreck was. Quick Kick as well. And I thought the same thing with him.
I forgot Quick Kick was crack jokes the whole time.
And I
forgot that was his thing.
Yes. And what's so funny is, what I love about a comic book like this, if you're a fan of the cartoons, you go to read the comic book, you are going to read it in the voices, that they spoke, other than the one line that I did not do it, which was when I believe Cobra Commander does have the line "inconceivable," which can only be said like the Princess Bride. So.
There's only one. I'm gonna, I believe Wallace Shawn, inconceivable.
Inconceivable. That's the only time where it's going to be a non.
Yeah, you're right though. Although I would say there's a little element of the octave of his voice which could get up to inconceivable.
It's close. I thought the same thing, because I did do the voice when I was reading it. I was like, I was like, there were times where, depending on how Cobra Commander's delivering the line, it's
great.
Off.
So, and tell me how much you probably love the PSAs that were there. So the public service
that's what I was going to say. I was going to wait. I was waiting because I was going to ask you. I was going to say, were the PSAs hands down your favorite part of the comic book?
Yes, no doubt. And so for me, I mean, if I had to pick a favorite panel in the book, there's so many great ones. Because like I said, I do like when Flint is starting to realize we're all kind of playthings. I think he might have said in the genie's world. It does not actually, it's great, but when you compare it next to the PSAs, and they're modern day PSAs.
They're modern day PSAs, yes. Talking crap about people online.
Internet, that was exactly the one I was thinking of. But because back in the day, it was don't touch the window. Don't touch the doorknob. It's hot. There's a fire.
Yes.
Don't jump over those power lines. Pork chop sandwiches. Yes.
What I'll say is this, and I'm not going to get all the way into the PSAs because I don't want to ruin anything. The PSA with Snake Eyes was so funny to me.
Yes.
It made me laugh out loud.
Yeah.
Just because when you have this kid talking to Snake Eyes, and we all know how he communicates,
Right.
that made me laugh out loud. And then the Law and Order one.
You learn about how to deal with animals and what you should and shouldn't do. Snake Eyes, was that the one about stealing?
Stealing the comic book.
Okay. And then the one about the internet trolls talking crap online to people.
But
it's so good.
The Law and Order one,
because it ends with like kind of violent, right?
I don't want to ruin too much, but when
I'll leave it like
when you basically say to a kid like this dog could rip you apart.
Like okay, Law.
Yes, and oh my goodness, and you don't often get, and knowing is half the battle, followed by another statement from the Joe.
Yes,
but it
was good. It was so like tongue in cheek, but throwback nostalgia. I love those PSAs.
The PSAs in it were fantastic, and it does. Yeah. It really gives you the feel that from each section of that comic that you are moving through like a 4-part episode.
Yes, it does. It felt like it. It read smooth, all connected. It had all the tropes of a typical cartoon episode and a ton of characters in there. So you get to introduce, if you may not remember people.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get to see a little bit of everybody in there. Writers, Erik Burnham, art by Dan Schoening, Luis Delgado. And yeah, I think, would you say the PSA is probably your favorite panel from that?
Yes. Yeah, I think so. I loved it, the whole thing, and it did. All the characters, Zaymot, Tomax, the Dreadnoks. I mean, everybody I felt like was totally in character. Everybody fit. Everything was right. So.
I know you and your brothers aren't twins, but did you ever pretend you were Tomax and Zaymot?
We would do that. Yes. I did always love the idea of it's like you hit one, the other one would feel it. Because then it's like if you were mad at your brother, then you could just, frying pan to your own face if he's the one that's going to feel it. You know what I mean?
That's the evil way. Yeah, it's almost like Fight Club. He's punching himself.
Yes, exactly. And, yes.
Yeah, there's definitely those moments there where the characters I remember as a kid, always loved seeing them come back there. It read really well. There's also, if you like this one, I believe there's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles version of this as well, too.
Oh, nice.
Which I haven't read. I've only read sort of the current run of comics right now, but there's a cartoon-related one. The funny thing about this is called Saturday Morning Adventures. Yeah. But your point earlier, G.I. Joe was not on Saturday.
No, it was always a weekday for me. As a matter of fact, it's what made me hate the show MASH. My afternoon cartoon block, right?
Yeah.
It would end and it would go from cartoons, and the first like live action show that they would show as you kind of would get later into the afternoon, now we're getting into sitcoms, would be MASH. So it's like G.I. Joe would end, and then the theme song you'd hear would be the
and the helicopter first.
And it was like you are the reason that my fun is ending right now. Oh, I hated the show because
you're like, listen, Doc is the only medic I need in the military.
You're exactly right. Yes, you're exactly.
And he's a pacifist as well.
Yeah,
it appeals to everybody, especially from our generation. It's definitely a great throwback kind of moment there. And yeah, it's four issues collected all together. You can get it, pretty cheap on Amazon. Knowing that G.I. Joe is definitely, it's not a superhero. So G.I. Joe is, obviously a military theme, but sort of like anything goes, everyone's specialized. If I know you've put yourself in the shoes of G.I. Joe before in those characters, if you were a superhero, because I know you're a big Marvel guy too.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
If you were a superhero, okay, who would you like? What would you be? What would be your power? What would be the name of the movie? And who would play you? I've asked everyone this one. Your friend Jacob Beals had a great answer on his. Beals' movie just wanted to be called Beals. And we were talking about he wanted super strength, but then I gave him the flaw of always knowing when people are hungry, because it was like Beals on wheels.
I do love it.
And so every time he had to go like stop a bad guy, he had to drop off lunches at a local school first.
Okay. I do like the sound of that. The ability to fly seems awesome. You need more than that. You know what I mean? Because what I don't want to do is just be able to fly to the fight to then get my butt kicked.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Right? So you want, like, even if you're like, hey, you can't just pick Superman's powers or whatever. Right, you know what I mean? It's like that idea of, it's like, okay, I'm going to need a little more when I get there.
Yeah. Well, if you were just flying somewhere, you would be a very lackluster superhero, because you would be... the only use you would be like scouting out, maybe like, hey, I just flew on top of the building.
Yes.
I saw the bad guys are over there. can you help us, Danger?
Yes,
I
I
can't.
can carry you there,
I
maybe
can carry you
if you're
if I
not
have
too heavy.
right, if I'm strong
If you're
enough.
not,
I have, yeah.
if there's anybody that's not that big, I can carry you to
Right.
the fight.
If
But other
there's
than
any
that,
children I can bring to the fight, I
yes,
can
I can
carry
take
them.
them or carry them away. So I'll do. I mean, here's the thing. I'm trying to keep in mind that I can't go. I do love the healing power that you see in
Yeah.
some, but I also don't love the thought of getting hurt. So I'm going to go with not feeling any pain at all.
That's probably better
Go.
because if you regenerated healing factor,
You're still getting hurt.
you're going to try to seek out fights. Deadpool, Wolverine,
Yeah.
these guys that have healing factors, they go and fight. So you're thinking Luke Cage, is he kind of like feel no pain?
I kind of think so. Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
So basically you just don't feel anything.
Yes.
You know? Would you say as like maybe like a flaw, like you don't feel anything emotionally as well either?
I do like that as a flaw. Yeah. You just don't care at all.
You just don't care, you know? So it's like,
About anything.
you know, getting punched.
But I love that because there is almost like a built-in flaw though with not feeling pain. It's because there are some injuries that would be way worse than other where it's like, hey, if you don't get this addressed, it could kill you. You know what I mean? If you have a head injury, you know what I mean?
You're right.
Like,
it's almost like remember that scene? Was it Mr. Deeds and he's beating the guy's legs? Ever see that movie back in the day?
Yes.
I didn't think I would reference Mr. Deeds, but I was thinking about the feel no pain.
Yeah, but so that, I mean, that to me, it does come with its own built-in flaw where it's like, no, you ruptured your spleen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Really? Well, I will address it later on. Like, no, you should probably address that now.
Yes,
because
you should go to see a doctor.
Yeah, you need that done there. So would this be like based off of the Danger character, or would you want to have like a different kind of superhero name?
Well, I think I'm going to go with the Danger character, and I'm just going to go. So I'll be more like Iron Man style, like in the movie, where he's like, I am Iron Man. So I'm basically, they know. Like it's out there.
It's out there. It's not. Your name could be Daniel Gurenstein.
Yeah, exactly.
Dan Gur.
So everybody knows it's just like it's him. You know.
Yeah, I like it though, and I'm guessing you want to be wealthy as well then.
If I can somehow parlay that into being financially set, I dig it 100.
Would you use your powers to like, on off days when you're not fighting the bad guys? I mean, maybe strongman competitions this is not strength. This would be feel no pain. So you would have to almost be like a stuntman.
Maybe that's how you make your money is you go to like bars and you bet people where it's like, I'll bet you I could push that dart further into my arm than you. Or something like that.
You're betting people. You got the whole like knives are on the finger. We're doing one of those, and all of a sudden I'm in there. Oh damn! It's like what?
It's like I'm good. Like, I'm good.
I'm fine.
I just made $14.
That's right. And they're like, your fingers on the ground.
Yeah,
your
all
fingers on the ground.
I've lost them all.
Well, you know what? Nubs, whatever. You'd be strong nubs there.
We'll do it with toes.
That's right. So, long-time career in radio. We talked about that earlier, going from the wacky sidekick Danger Boy to now being the morning show and program director as well. You're also the boss as well. You wear many hats over there.
Yes.
You've interacted with a lot of famous people. Was there like a celebrity that was like the coolest to talk to, either in person, on the phone, or whatever?
Man, I've had the chance to meet a lot, honestly. And I will say this. Okay, I'm going to give you one in the world of country music, and he goes beyond that, but then one outside of it too. And this one is recent, so it pops up to my mind. But I will say meeting Jelly Roll was such a nice guy. Like everything you've heard about him being a good dude, he was all that and then some. Like he was so nice. So I could never say enough great things about the way he treated, not just like when I talked to him, but watching him interact with everybody that was around at that time was like, he was so nice to everybody. And we really seemed to want to connect with everybody, give them their time. He was fantastic. So could not say.
Do you think he's going to stay that way? Because I know he's kind of.
I think so. I think
he's going to be in his prime, like whatever you want to call it, for a while. I think
he seemed genuine.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, it seems like I think it'll be his team and his people around him that will struggle with hey, we don't have as much time to spend with everybody. Like, you like almost like we've got to move you along.
Seems like a meet and greet, full conversation with everybody.
Yeah, it's like you put him in front of somebody. It seems like, hey, I'm going to talk and I want to know your story. And where I got a feeling it'll be more of a, hey, we don't have time for all this anymore. You got to keep moving.
Yeah.
That I can
what's crazy? Jelly Roll said meeting Danger was the coolest celebrity, which is
Okay, so
kind of
this is going to
crazy.
be my next story. So the other one is, and I don't know why his name just Henry Winkler. I was going to say, why did his
Oh,
name
the
pop up?
Fonz, yeah.
So I had to do just a phone interview with him, and this was years and years and years ago. And I get on the phone with him, and they said, "Here's what it's going to be. Here's the number of the hotel he's staying at. He's in New York. You're going to call the front desk. You're going to tell him who you're looking for and your name. They will then call him. He'll say, 'Yes, I'm expecting to do this interview,' and then they'll connect you." So I go through the process and do it all. Everything's normal. And then the next person whose voice I hear is Henry Winkler, and he's like, "Hi, is this Danger Boy?" And I said, "Yes." And he's like, "Oh my goodness." He's like, "I cannot believe I'm on the phone with you." He's like, "I am in New York City right now." He said, "Do you know how in TV show and movies," he's like, "you see everybody wearing the t-shirts to say I heart New York or I
Yeah,
heart."
yeah,
I
yeah.
said, "Yeah, yeah." He goes, "The truth is they're wearing I Heart Danger Boy shirts everywhere around here." And all of this is off the air, and he knew we weren't on the air together, and just was the nicest guy.
Just
I
having
mean,
so much fun with you too. And
so like he was coming into town for something, and that's why we were doing the interview. And so we get done with the interview. I jump back on. "Hey man, thank you so much. You were so great. I appreciate it." And he asked me if I'm coming out to this show that he's going to be at. And I said, "No." I said, "I can't. I'm going to be out of town. I wish I could be there." And I said, "Just so you know, I have a brother who is the biggest." I said, "He is such a big fan. He has his Fonz action figure that's up at his house." And he says, "Well, send him." He said, "Is he going to be in town?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well,
wow.
he says, give me his name." So he put him on a list. My brother went
Wow.
down. He met my brother. He autographed the action figure. My brother, same experience. He was like, dude, he was so nice. But
That's
just,
great.
I'll tell you what, one of those guys that will probably, I'm assuming, be my only Henry Winkler interaction my entire life. But it couldn't have
Yeah,
been better.
that's so awesome. I
Yeah.
think it's, I mean, growing up with the Fonz, and I know you've been in radio for a long time. So was he filming Happy Days? Is that how old the story was?
Yeah, no kidding. Yes, yeah, and no, it was a few years after that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. See, I would have asked him, I got this jukebox at home.
Do you have any recommendations?
I'm beating the crap out of this jukebox at home. What do you
I don't know what to
also,
do.
yeah, also Fonzie, tell me about hanging out in bathrooms. Like
Right.
it hasn't worked for me.
Yes, yes, yes. That's never worked
Like
for me.
no, hanging out in the men's room, step into my office, never really worked.
Yeah,
No, that's awesome though. And I mean, I've heard nothing but great stories with the guys, so I think that's
yeah,
phenomenal
yes,
there. You know, I was hoping it was like going to be an angry Ralph Mouth story you were going to get
yeah.
into, you
No,
know.
no, yeah, no, no. All good for sure.
So over the years in radio, you've seen it all, you've done it all. And if somebody was getting into the business now, or even said, you know what, I may not go the broadcast route, I'm going to do podcasts, YouTube, and all that. Do you have any advice for somebody that wants to either get into the, we'll call it influencer, not social media per se, but more of like what we're doing, whether it's on the air or off the air? Any advice for them?
For me, I think no matter what, authenticity and being like who you are right now is so important. And I feel like we're at a time where people can cut through phony and BS like faster than ever.
Oh yeah,
So if you present them with something where it's like, "Oh, hey everybody, love this thing," and it's all about this product, I think people know that right off the bat. I think
yeah,
people can. So whatever you're looking at doing, I would say be you, be comfortable being you, like know that that's going to be okay, and put that out there, and you're going to be good to go. That
yeah,
would be my advice.
yeah,
And just it's not going to be easy because no matter what, you're going to find challenges, but it's a lot of fun. So enjoy the ride too. That's what I would
yeah.
say. Get into it for the fun of it and see what happens.
Hey, you might meet the Fonz one day.
Yeah,
You never know.
you're
Play your cards
exactly right.
right, you know?
Yes.
So, Danger, people in the Des Moines and Central Iowa area can listen to you every single morning on Nash FM 97.3. They can stream online as well. There's an app you
Yes.
can download as
Download
well.
the app. Yeah, the Nash FM 97.3 app is free to download. You can listen anywhere. I would love it. I would appreciate it. And, check us
You,
out
you
on
get you get a
Facebook.
little cut off. You get a cut off how
No,
many downloads you get
no,
there.
no, but I'll tell you what, it won't hurt.
That's true. That's very true.
Yes.
Well, people are bringing that. That's one thing I noticed when I talked to someone the other day about. Someone's like, "Oh, is radio like dying?" Like the way people consume entertainment is changing. People like personalities, content, and all of that. people will listen in their car, but then they want to hear the next thing you're going to talk about. They might take you on the go or smart
Yes.
speaker. So
Yeah, it's no different than any other thing. It's like the way we watch TV has changed, but we still are watching
exactly.
ATV is the way I see it. Yes.
Exactly. We thought TV was dead with cable, and then whatever,
And now I pay more than I ever have for everything I get.
When you're not supposed to do the math, you know that
I know.
rule.
I know. My wife does the math and then tells me.
And I saw this thing online. It was, I wish someone would take all the services together, Netflix, everything together, put it all in one plan. Like, you mean cable?
Yes.
Yeah, we had that. Like,
what we used to do. Yeah.
The other one, actually, I told, I think it might have been in my last show. It was somebody saying, and I think this one was serious because it was a video shown to me by Sam, who we work with on the younger side. And it was a podcaster, younger, who said, I wish there was like a podcast where it was live and they play music, but you don't know what they're going to play, what they're going to say, what they're going to do, but it was all live. It's like, you mean radio?
Radio.
Like,
we've been doing it forever.
What?
Yes. Yes.
And I think that one was, I think the cable one was like being facetious, but I think the radio one was a legit question.
I would believe it. I would believe it for sure.
Awesome. Danger Boy, thank you for being on comics.fm.
Hey, thanks, man. I had a blast.